Welcome back to the channel. I am Enigma Severus, and today we are going to be looking at State of Consciousness from 2022, starring Emil Hirsch, Tatiana Inés Nardon, Gaia Scodellero, and Mariano Di Vaio. Alright, well, for starters, a number of these actors and actresses in the movie are not A-list actors. The protagonist is a B-list actor at best, I would have to say. Emil Hirsch has been in a number of well-known movies, such as The Girl Next Door, Into the Wild, which was a movie adapted from the book, Lords of Dogtown, and Speed Racer. Now, he is known for Speed Racer a little bit. However, Speed Racer is most likely a movie that would have been better had there been more realism to the movie. Speaking of the realism, Emil Hirsch is also starring alongside Ryan Philippe in a newer movie called Prey. The most current movie reviews are that Prey is not good, and in general, several movies, most recently with Survival, have been badly written. For some reason or another, the writers of these survival movies feel as if they need to give extra suspense to the movie, so a lot of times they'll make the characters make really dumb decisions or really stupid decisions. One of the more recent ones is a film called Beast with Idris Elba, and Idris Elba's daughter is upset with her father as it pertains to his decisions towards the family and the fact that he has not spent time with his children to know them well. So the daughter decides she is going to be fairly rebellious in a number of ways, and ultimately this causes her to make a lot of stupid decisions in the movie which were not necessary to be made. So again, we see these survival type movies which are not well done, and they need to create suspense, and it's just not good. A good movie towards survival, which I believe was fairly realistic, good, and paced well, is The Mountain Between Us, also starring Idris Elba as well as Kate Winslet. However, I am most likely confident that Prey, which is released this year, and Beast, which was released in 2022, were both deserving of the grades that they got, which were low. The only actual lion attacking movie which I believe was phenomenal is The Ghost in the Darkness, which is actually based on a real life event. A lot of research has been done over two male lions who were brothers and attacked the influx of railroad workers in Zavo. I mean, this was a phenomenal story of two male lions who worked together, killed, eat, and prolifically survived for over 10 months while taking out nearly 300 humans that they were hunting. It is just a remarkable story. So I would consider The Ghost in the Darkness to be the bar or the standard by which these people need to go back and start learning how to create suspense without making the characters do dumb decisions. Okay, well, my rant's over. Now let's get back to State of Consciousness. State of Consciousness is a psychological movie which follows the medical treatment of a patient, Stephen, played by Emil Hirsch. The movie begins well enough in its simplicity, but quickly takes a drastic turn when two passing police officers stop at Stephen's gas station to fill up their car. One police officer takes note of a classic car inside of an open storage shed next to the store. Now, little by little, the officer starts looking at the car, inspecting the engine, and then come to find out there's a dead body in the back of the car. And to Steven's adamance, he is not the one that has done anything with this body inside the car. So, from this point on, Stephen is facing a death penalty, but sentenced to a rehabilitation facility to demonstrate that he is not a danger to society, that he is innocent of these charges. And so, on the first day, Stephen is brought into the facility and introduced to his attending doctor. Now, the pacing of these situations is actually purposely done. So when Stephen arrives at this medical facility, it's very early in the movie. And Stephen asks, how long should this treatment take for me to become better? And the doctor explains, look, even my hardest patients, I've had maybe 1, 2 years and they were complete. And so Stephen finds this acceptable. So as Stephen goes into the treatment, he is forcibly knocked unconscious, which again brings us to an observation of okay, what is taking place? And on Stephen's waking up the next day, Stephen has apparently already completed his entire treatment, and it has been 18 months. So when Stephen returns home to his girlfriend and begins living out his daily routine, he begins looking and observing to see if everything is as it ought to be. As the movie progresses, the questions of what is real and what is not real begin to come into focus. I'll be honest with you, I was not able to keep all the specific details in order to know what is reality and what is false. I was able to determine some portions of what was false and what was real. But in the middle of the movie, you, as the audience member, are no longer actually worried or concerned with the actual reality or fictional reality. Even better, to this point, the movie writers themselves do a great job of communicating to you as the audience by showing you that they know you already have certain things figured out. Things that the writers actually wanted you to figure out, and it's almost as if they are telling you, we will throw a small twist in here because we know that you figured other things out. So here's a small twist, and here's another twist later on. So the rating given to this movie is a 5. However, I would say that the reason this movie received such a low score is because there's not any like big name A-list actors like Ben Affleck, who did the movie Hypnotics a year later in 2023. And Hypnotics got a 5.5. The realism of Hypnotics is not as good as the realism as to this one here. However, there is a little bit of a suspended reality because you have this movie imitating the Matrix with how they are manipulating the person's mind. They'll plug in something into the brain. And so, yes, in that regard, it's a little bit unbelievable, but when you compare it with Hypnotics was fairly a little bit more out there, I would say. All right, so one of the big unspoken ideas here in this movie is the planting of an idea. Now, this is an Inception type idea. Now, if you want to compare this movie to Inception, I would say Inception had a much better way of presenting their idea with its premise, its purpose. Obviously, you have a ton of A-list actors in that movie. Okay, so State of Consciousness deals with rehabilitating somebody, while Inception deals with planting an idea. And so in Inception, it's clear that the possibility to plant an idea is easy to put into there. And if you really want me to get into explaining how to put an idea into someone's mind without them noticing, that would be a different video. But another movie that you can compare State of Consciousness to is Shutter Island. I would say that State of Consciousness also deals with the rehabilitation, just like Shutter Island did, but Shutter Island is not using fake memory setups like this movie. Shutter Island is actually allowing the protagonist, Leonardo DiCaprio, to play out his belief system, which is already there. They're just allowing to play it out in a controlled setting. Whereas here in the State of Consciousness, they're planting memories and fake ideas into the person's mind in order for him to apply them, like The Matrix. Now, I've already named a couple movies. We've named Inception, we've named Shutter Island. We could also compare this movie to Identity, which had Ray Liotta and John Cusack. Now, sadly, where this movie fails, State of Consciousness, the movie fails in the purpose behind why Steven, the protagonist, is hooked up to the machine in the first place. There is no actual process or practice of treatment. They never demonstrate what the treatment is other than placing him in this fictional world. Now, when he's here in the fictional world, the only thing that we notice which is happening is that his actual and original memories are interceding or interrupting the process. And so, in one instance, you have the doctor saying, "You need to respond better to this treatment. You're not allowing us to treat you." And it's like, well, what type of treatment are you doing in these fictional memories anyway? So the mental memory feeding does not actually have a behavioral practice which he needs to become better with, or at least I didn't notice any. I'd have to go back and look. But it's more of his actual memories interrupting what's taking place, and that's what he's getting fixated on. And so, like I said, another movie which does this is Identity with Ray Liotta and John Cusack. The movie details are from Identity are dealing with a mental patient who has a various personalities, and it's a personality disorder, and the doctor is trying to get the patient to discover which personality or which character of his is being a serial killer. Which one is the serial killer? And if you kill that personality of you, then you will be cured of your mental disease. And so Identity was a great idea, but once you already know the truth of the movie, you can't really go back and you could go back and rewatch it, but it's not going to be any surprise and there's not going to be any shock factor. So the actual fun part to this movie, State of Consciousness, is that you actually get to go back and look for when the actual treatment begins for Steven. Because there are a few indicators that suggest Steven is put into his treatment in an unwilling fashion. And I would also suggest that the mental facility purposely takes that information and gives Steven a completely new fictional reality to him accepting the treatment, which I think would be fairly understandable. So I really want to say that the heroes of this movie are actually the editors, the producers who know how to use the things to the best of their ability. I mean, like I said, there are no A-list actors in here. The movie did what it could with most likely the money that it had. It did not have the budget of Hypnotics or Inception or any of these others, Shutter Island. So I would say the real heroes are the writers, the video editors. They really do make you think. And as I said, they kind of know when you are already picking up what is real and what is not real. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, we already know that you're doing that. And it's like, okay, this trick is played out because we had to give away specific truths. Therefore, we're going to give you another trick or something else, and they use it in a different fashion. And then it's like you have to return to thinking like, okay, well, what happened earlier? So again, it's a very well done movie. But like I said, there are no A-list actors. The idea has already been presented, and there are more A-list actors who have done this movie in a little bit better fashion. And again, they're slightly different. Shutter Island deals with an FBI agent who can't cope with what he has done. You have Inception, who is a big tech company who is trying to get a man to divide up the company so that they are not going to go bankrupt. You have Hypnotics, who is trying, a father trying to protect his daughter due to the power that she has. And then you have Identity, which deals simply with a serial killer who is, again, trying to be rehabilitated. So we've already seen this idea. And Identity, in my understanding, did not do all that amazing. I can't remember it coming out. And then you have The Matrix, which is famous. Again, Matrix, what's real, what's not real. And so we've seen this idea played before. I think this was a well done job. But again, like I said, the movie is fun. It's easy to follow. You have your questions. You get answers to those questions in a limited fashion, and the editors did a great job. The conclusion is not earth shattering, which I don't think it needed to be. And I think a lot of times, us in our audience, we're looking at this earth shattering reality or this massive twist, which every now and then the movie does not need to have that. So I think this can be a great learning movie for film study. I think the actors and everyone had done well. Obviously, there are a couple makeup issues that you'll notice in the movie, and you can let me know in the comments if you figure that out. But for the most part, I believe this movie was well done. I mean, the producers and the writers actually took note to specifically change and adjust specific things. The amount of detail in this was really well done. I think it was really well done. I'm going to have to go back and watch it two, maybe three times to see if I can truly pick up specific details or keys which the writers left and I wasn't taking note of. So whoever was doing the video editing in this paid close attention to what they were doing. They honestly need to be contracted to much better movies or bigger movies with A-list actors, because I honestly it's difficult. You really have to go back and look. And so I've really enjoyed the movie. I would say it's a 6. It's a 6 because it's not an average movie. It's a good movie. I obviously wouldn't give it a 7 because it's already been played out. Had the idea been a little bit more intricate, but again, you can only do so much with psychological thrillers. And let's, as I say that, watch a new psychological thriller come out that we're not thinking of. You get it? Alrighty, well, that's it from me. I think I've talked long enough, and I hope you guys really take an opportunity or take a moment to really enjoy this movie. I think it was really good. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it just to notice, but yeah, it was fairly interesting. Alrighty, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye.